First of all, I kind of have one for the midterm, and from that, the vision for the next year will frame up. I do feel at a high level analysis that we're kind of getting into a new learning frontier where human and machine are learning side by side and together. And to me, that's changing the educational landscape, the issues and the challenges. It's a main characteristic of what we're calling the fourth revolution, in the industrial revolution. So we have as an organization thinking about education to really understand the implication, the new challenges. And at the same time, and that's more short term, there's a lot of inequality and exclusion. And it seems that we have a foot in the 21st century, but part of the 20th century educational agenda is an unfinished business in terms of literacy, in terms of basic education, in terms of challenges for women and girls. So we have to juggle two balls, have a foot in the present and the future, and finish a job that we haven't finished. So at the short term, to make sure that we're not leaving anybody behind, but at the same time we have to take stock of what's coming in and what's already shaping our world. So that global framework is, to me, a reference point to just situate the strategic value of what UIL is doing, issues that are tackle. And it's interesting that at the same time, there's a new literacy strategy at UNESCO level that UIL will have to implement and contribute to implement in the short term. But there's also the International Commission on the Future of Learning and Education that opens up to the future. So we have those two forums to try to spell out what does it mean short term, midterm, to tackle an unfinished business of the 20th century, and to start to create and master and try to control in a more political way the issues of the future that are already shaping up our educational landscape. Lifelong learning has been a rhetoric, a principle, a framework for decades, and we're still talking about how do we implement it. So in a 2 months time frame, I think UIL will publish a handbook on lifelong learning policies that will try to spell out how do we concretize, materialize, and make it a reality. And it's a typical thing in education. There's the promises. We understand what we should do. We have a vision of what we should do. We have action plan. But we're still facing difficulties to implement. And to me, that lifelong learning handbook and the toolkit that would come with it will bring the discussion back to, we know what we should do. How come we're not doing it? And what's the technical problem? Is it just political will? After 40 years, I don't think political will is the only cause, or the lack of political will, the only cause of it. There's probably technical thing. And to me, one of the difficulty is, even if it seems intuitively clear what lifelong learning is, it's a really complex concept to implement, to divide up, to say what do we have to do technically. And I think the challenge is at the conceptual level also. What is a good lifelong learning policy? What is a concrete lifelong learning policy? And the handbook that's going to be published in 2 months, I think, would be an important tool to just organize the debate and try to bring government not to go beyond political will, but just to simply understand what they have to do technically to live up to the promises of lifelong learning. Yeah, at least 3 things, I would say. First, to take stock that there's many learning domains now that are putting a pressure on people. Basic education, literacy, work-related education, health education, financial literacy, citizenship education. As people of the 21st century, we're under a lot of pressure to be functional in a lot of learning domain. That's a new characteristic. It wasn't like that 40, 50, 60 years ago. The other one, the second one, is the diversity of the learning sites. School-based, community-based, the workplace, the family, the neighborhood. Sustainable development shows us that it could be the backyard. There's a pipeline, like in Canada, there's a pipeline they're going to go through your backyard. I mean, it's not at school that you're going to learn what you have to learn to deal with it. How do you intervene in the political debate? It's not at school. It might not even be in community groups. It's going to be peer-to-peer learning, citizens teaching each other and learning together in an informal way, an ad hoc and non-permanent way. Just we get together for a few weeks, we try to understand and deal, we intervene, and after it just breaks up. So the diversity of learning domain. The third one is recognition, validation, and accreditation. If people are learning a lot of things in a different learning domain, if they're different site of learning, we have to have a functional system of crediting and recognizing what people are doing. And to me, it goes beyond a technical issue. It's investment in human intelligence, human capital. If people are learning, they should be able to show what they say, not only through a diploma. There's a lot of micro-credentials initiative right now in technology that allows us to just give a tool to people to say, I know that. It's formally accrediting. I'm not just talking about it and making a case for myself. It's been recognized by an official entity. So those three things, recognize that there's a lot of learning domain that are putting pressure on people, recognize that there's a wide spectrum of learning site, even autonomous online learning. A YouTube executive said that they've numbered 1 billion of downloading of educational tutorial per day. 1 billion per day. That might be the biggest learning sites in the world right now, YouTube. It's free, it's autonomous, it's self-regulated learning. So a peer-to-peer learning also, there's a lot of peer-to-peer site that allows people just to share their knowledges. Wikipedia is the best known. I mean, people freely put their knowledge online and people just learn from other people's knowledge. So we have a diversity of learning site and modality and a functional RVA. That, to me, those three things should be at the core. But that being said, implementing a policy that would cover a wide spectrum of learning site and learning domain and have a functional RVA, it's easy to say. It's really hard to put into place because it's a new paradigm. It's not using public initial children's school model and to just apply it to adult education. It's designing an adult education system. The family is growing. There's a traditional partner, government, member state first, donors. I really like, and it was expressed at the board that the learning cities are bringing somebody else in the family, municipalities, mayors. They don't have education as a first mandate. They have the well-being of their citizenry as a first mandate. So them being in the family, it's proximity, education, management, they are an interesting partners. And I think now what we have to create above all, it's to group partners, but find a way to create social capital, to work together, and to the contribution of everybody. Not to do what somebody else is doing, just to add up the collective intelligence. So to me, the municipalities are a very interesting partners. And in my analysis, there's a new player in the family. It's the individual. Because in a context where peer-to-peer learning and autonomous learning is there, it's not through organization that people are learning. It's by themselves and with others. It's not being represented by a structure. It's themselves. So there's a new actor in the family. It's individuals. And all those really virtual or website platforms like Wikipedia, and there's a lot of them that are bringing people together to learn among themselves. But we won't have an organization around the table. It's a fluid partner. It's a 6-7 billion partners around the world. So that's interesting because at the root of adult education was a person. The andragogy project, pedagogical project, was somebody who understands what they need to learn and find a way to learn. And through the times we created a super and infrastructure of hundreds and thousands of organizations and networks of networks. And now we have to rediscover that the individual in our society where organizations are being criticized by a lot of people and structures is being criticized even as functional representation, the individual is back in the educational debate. And from an adult education perspective, given to the learner the power to participate to decision is a major principle. And we're kind of facing that new partner that we should find a way, but we won't find any organization to have around the table. It's the people that should be somewhere around the table or close to us, or us close to them as UIL. I would say behind, I would nuance it, because all of us, we've integrated a learning culture. That is, I wonder how to do a recipe. I just go online, open YouTube, learn it, integrate it, and put it into action. That's a beauty of a learning culture. It's cultural because we don't even think about it. We just do it. So somehow it is integrated. And the next generation of adult, they're in that new learning frontier that I see coming, because it's part of their life. They're the app culture. They're going to learn through app. They're already learning through myriads of different applications. So technology is already there. I would say, I don't think it's far-fetched to say it's not that technology is not already included. It's the adult education organization that are running behind, because the people and the culture are a step ahead, and we're running behind. Institutions, university, college, formal institutions are an example of running behind a culture where putting 30% in a classroom, sitting with somebody speaking at the front, I mean, it's a no model for a lot of people. They're probably looking some app or texting or looking at Wikipedia if the teacher is saying it's true or not. So we're within a new educational landscape. And I think technology, the culture is faster than the institution. To me, it's already integrated. I mean, our grandparents are using Facebook, or probably learning things left and right. So my reading is more that people are a step ahead of the educational offering in regarding, and they're way beyond MOOC. I mean, MOOC to me, it's the old system. Instead of having a person, you just film it and use the internet to have a wider distribution system. The new environment is a personalized environment based on AI and using app and creating an ecosystem of learning where there's hybrid learning, where there's teacher-based learning, school-based learning. But we have to reimagine the engineering of the offering. And to me, the institutions are behind the people on that topic, specific topic of technology within learning and education.